The History of Scotland, Part 7, The Enlightenment and Industrial Scotland, 17th to 18th centuries. In the wake of Culloden in 1746, Scotland seemed broken. The Jacobite cause was crushed, the clan system dismantled, Gaelic culture suppressed. Yet from the ashes of defeat came transformation. The Highlands mourned, but in the lowlands, the 18th and 19th centuries saw Scotland emerge as a world leader in thought, invention and industry. It became known both as the Athens of the North and the workshop of the world. This was the age of the Scottish Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. The Scottish Enlightenment circa 1700 to 1800. The Enlightenment was a revolution of the mind, a flowering of philosophy, science, economics, history and literature. Few nations contributed as much as Scotland. Edinburgh, Athens of the North. The capital became the beating heart of ideas. Its old town of closes and the streets bustled with students, scholars and printers. Its new town laid out in the late 18th century with elegant Georgian squares and crescents symbolised order, reason and progress. Coffee houses and clubs buzzed with debate. Writers and thinkers gathered in the Select Society and the Oyster Club, sharing ideas that reshaped the world. Thinkers of the Enlightenment. David Hume, 1711 to 1776. Philosopher of skepticism who questioned religion, certainty and even the idea of the self. His treatise of human nature remains one of philosophy's great works. Adam Smith, 1723 to 1790. The father of economics, whose Wealth of Nations, 1776, laid the foundation for capitalism and free markets. This book still stands the test of time. If you are interested in economics, I highly recommend giving it a read. James Hutton, 1726 to 1797. The father of modern geology, who introduced the concept of deep time, that the earth was far older than previously thought. Adam Ferguson, 1723 to 1816. Philosopher of history and society, sometimes called the father of sociology. Thomas Reid, 1710 to 1796. Founded the Scottish School of Common Sense, challenging Hume's scepticism. Francis Hutcheson, 1694 to 1746. Moral philosopher influential on both Hume and Smith. William Robertson, 1721 to 1793. Historian and principal of the University of Edinburgh, who brought Scottish history to the European stage. Lord Kames, Henry Home, 1696 to 1782. Jurist and philosopher who developed legal and social theories. The Enlightenment was not just abstract thought, it reshaped practical life. Its ideas influenced politics, law, economics and science across Europe and America. The American Revolution, the French Revolution and the development of liberal democracy all bore its imprint. The Industrial Revolution in Scotland, circa 1760 to the 1850s. While mines transformed Europe in Edinburgh, machines transformed life in Glasgow, Dundee and beyond. James Watt and steam power. In the 1760s, James Watt, working in Glasgow, perfected the steam engine by introducing a separate condenser. His design became the workhorse of the Industrial Revolution. Watt's engines powered factories, pumped mines and drove trains and ships, unleashing unprecedented productivity. Glasgow, the second city of the empire. Glasgow boomed as a centre of trade, industry and shipbuilding. Tobacco merchants known as the Tobacco Lords grew rich importing from American plantations, many profits tied to slavery. By the 19th century, Glasgow's Clyde shipyards built some of the finest steamships in the world, earning the city fame as the workshop of the world. Coal and iron from Lanarkshire fed industries of steel and machinery. Dundee, jute, jam and journalism. Dundee became the world's centre of the jute industry, importing raw jute from India to be spun into sacks, ropes and cloth. The city was also famous for jam making, notably marmalade, and for journalism, being the home of publishers like D.C. Thomson, Textiles and Paisley. Towns like Paisley became renowned for weaving, producing the distinctive Paisley pattern shawls. The Scottish textile industry was a global powerhouse. Empire and global reach. Industrialisation tied Scotland deeply to the British Empire. Scots played leading roles in colonial administration, trade and science. Scottish engineers, doctors and missionaries spread across India, Africa and the Americas. The empire brought wealth, but also bound Scotland to slavery and exploitation. Tobacco, sugar and cotton profits relied heavily on enslaved labour. The Highland clearances, 18th to 19th centuries. While the lowlands thrived, the Highlands faced devastation. After Culloden, traditional clan society was already weakened. Now economic change finished what government repression had begun. Causes. Landowners, often absentee aristocrats, saw more profit in sheep farming than in tenant farmers. From the late 18th century, peasants were evicted en masse to make way for sheep pastures. Impact. Families were driven from fertile glens to poor coastal land, where they struggled with fishing and kelp gathering. Many emigrated overseas to Canada, America and Australia. Ships crowded with displaced Highlanders sailed from ports like Ullapool and Inverness. Gaelic culture suffered. Language and traditions were eroded as people were scattered. Famous examples: the Sutherland clearances 1810s to 1820s were among the most infamous, displacing thousands under the orders of the Duchess of Sutherland. Accounts describe homes set alight as families were forced out, with entire villages emptied. The clearances remain one of the darkest chapters in Scottish history. A forced transformation of the Highlands that tore apart communities and created a worldwide Scottish diaspora. The Scottish diaspora. By the 19th century, Scottish identity was global. Millions of Scots or their descendants lived abroad. Canada. Scots settled Nova Scotia, New Scotland, Ontario and the Western Prairies. Gaelic was still spoken in Cape Breton well into the 20th century. United States. Scots played leading roles in politics, education and frontier expansion. Australia and New Zealand. Scots emigrants farmed, built towns and founded institutions. India and Africa. Scottish doctors, engineers and missionaries spread Western medicine, railways and Presbyterian faith. The bagpipes, Burns poetry and Highland regalia became symbols of Scottishness abroad, even as they were being suppressed at home. The 18th and 19th centuries remade Scotland. The Scottish Enlightenment gave the world ideas of freedom, reason and progress. The Industrial Revolution made it a workshop of empire, producing ships, textiles and steam engines. Yet this progress came with cost. The clearances emptied the glens, scattering Highlanders across the seas. Scotland became both a land of innovation and exile, its influence stretching far beyond its borders, even as its own people were uprooted. In this age, Scotland became a nation of thinkers, builders and wanderers. Its ideas changed the world. Its ships carried empire across the seas. And its people, at home and abroad, kept alive a proud and resilient identity. Thank you for watching this part of the wonderful history of Scotland. The next part is coming soon. Please like and share to make sure you don't miss it. And as always, stay curious.